Let's talk about the greatest sports deal in NBA history. This is the story of Daniel and Ozzie Silna and how they became, part of the NBA. Of course, I got all this information from articles and stuff like that, so let's get into the video. So they're actually Latvian immigrants. Like, they didn't come from millions of dollars. They immigrated here, or rather their family immigrated here, and they took over their father's textile business, in which they transitioned to polyester. And keep in mind, we're talking, the 1970s and stuff like that when this deal happened. But so they become successful, in their industry, and they obviously gained some wealth, and they ended up becoming the owners of the St. Louis Spirits. And this was back when it was still the ABA and the NBA. So their team was in the ABA, like the NBA and ABA had not merged yet. So they were co-owners of that team, and all that kind of stuff. And they also tried to buy the Detroit Pistons in 1974, but their bid was unsuccessful. So I don't know for sure if we could say they saw it coming, like the merger, or that, they saw the NBA was about to take off. I'm not sure. But if they were trying to buy the Detroit Pistons, they probably had some idea or some thought process that, hey, the NBA is probably going to get more popular. Let's try to get in now. Regardless, their bid was unsuccessful, but it didn't matter because a couple years later, this was in 1974, the bid for the Detroit Pistons. In 1976 is when the big deal happened. When the ABA and NBA merged, not every team was included in the deal. In fact, their team, the St. Louis Spirits, were not included in the deal. Only 4 ABA teams were going to be merged. So you would think, well, if they were left out, how could they possibly, got such a lucrative deal? How could this greatest deal ever happened if their team was not included? In compliance with the NBA to dissolve their team, they were paid $2.2 million, which is equivalent to probably 11 or 12 million nowadays. So $2.2 million back then for dissolving their team, basically getting rid of it. But the big thing that happened was that they got 1/7 of all TV, revenue shares for the future. Let me word that properly so it makes the most sense and I have it exactly correct and it's the most clear. They got 1/7, so 1 out of 7, there were 7 ABA teams, 1/7 of all the revenue in the future TV deals for the rest of the NBA's existence, because that is the wording they put in, as long as the NBA, continues and all the success that they have, for the rest of the existence, they get a share of 1/7 of the 4 remaining teams that were merged from the ABA to the NBA. So that ends up being 4/7, and especially with all the money they make now, think about the TV deals. But remember, because 4 teams merged, so you got the Denver Nuggets, you got the Spurs, you got now it's the Brooklyn Nets, I was about to say New Jersey Nets, whatever, but the Nets and the Pacers, those are the 4 teams that merged. The share and amount of money they get gets a little confusing. Even for me when I was reading it, I was trying to, say it as clearly as possible and figure out exactly how to explain it to you guys perfectly so you can understand. But even I, am a little bit confused reading it because it does get a little complicated. But it basically said that now, because the NBA has expanded to all 30 teams, they get 1/49th of all the league's TV money, which I know doesn't sound like it makes much sense. So someone can correct me if that is wrong, but that is what it said. I don't know how to explain any better than that. And unfortunately, Ozzie passed away in 2016. Rest in peace. But Daniel is still alive. So just backtracking now that we got, all the details out of the way based on, the revenue shares they're getting and stuff like that. Remember, in the 1970s, the NBA was not making the kind of money they're making now. Because remember, a lot of people credit Magic and Bird to making the league as popular as it is now. And obviously, Michael Jordan took it to another level. And obviously things grow as it went on. But a lot of people, give Magic and Bird credit for making the league more popular, for people wanting to watch, for creating these future TV deals and contracts just because of them playing, the rivalry, all that kind of stuff. Now I will say, it did say in 2014, the NBA looked to buy out the Silnas because of course, they're making a ton of money and the NBA is trying to keep as much profit as they can. Because by 2013, they had made $300 million. They had made $300 million. That is one of the craziest and best business deals ever. But like I said, because of the financial impact it was having, the NBA, was like, we got to buy them out. Like, we have to. So in 2014, apparently a deal was reached where they settled on the contract and paid out $500 million to them. So in total, they made $800 million. If you want to talk about a sweet deal, they made a sweet deal. That is as business savvy as it gets. Now, obviously, you know, they were fortunate that they already owned an ABA team. Of course, like, it probably wouldn't have been possible if they didn't own an ABA team, but that was because they became successful in their industry to begin with, which they obviously, I mean, I don't know them, but they obviously worked hard to get that kind of money to buy the ABA team and then obviously, you know, get the shares from the NBA. So that is one of the greatest sports deals in NBA history. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this story.